Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and welcome to my channel, welcome to my living room. I'm shooting this intro in front of a mirror because I don't want to use the editing software and cut things together. I just want to try to do something in real time. And I'm a lazy man, which is true to a point. I mean, you can't be in our hobby and actually be very lazy because it involves a lot of efforting, and hopefully it's a labor of love for you as it is for me. So what I'm going to talk about today, as I try to find a way to navigate this strange video process that I've elected to undertake, is heating, aquarium heating. And I had a specific use case, and I reached out to Hygger, a well-known brand within our hobby, and they work with a lot of hobbyists and YouTube creators, supporting them. They will send you some tech, and what they ask in return is some form of demonstration, review, etc. And I reached out to them and asked them if they would send me a specific heater that I thought would be really good for a use case that I'm going to familiarize you with very soon. And they obliged, and I received the heater a little while back, and now I'm gonna attempt to talk to you about that specific heater and why I chose it and what I'm gonna do with it. All right, so let's move into the dining room. There it is. How beautiful is that? And this is the box the heater came in. It's the HG106. And a box is a box is a box. I don't do unboxing videos. I think they're silly, although that seems kind of like a silly comment, honestly, given I just filmed my introduction standing in front of a mirror. But be that as it may, that's the box it came in. And now let's get to the good part. This is the heater, right? So look at that form factor. That is, first and foremost, the reason why I chose it. It has a hard, like carbon shell, but you can, the water, obviously when it's submerged, will go right through this particular heater, and it has dual rods. So the fact that it can do an amazing job based on having a dual rod instead of a single rod, and having it be free to have the water flow all throughout and around it, drew me to this particular heater. I also liked this size shape, the form factor, as I said before, because what I want to do with it is put it into the sump on my 135-gallon display tank as a backup heater right between the refugium with all these wonderful plants and the power plant, the CHA water pump, which is in there. This sump came with that particular divider in there, probably a couple good applications they had in mind, one being potentially putting your heater in there, which I have not in this particular case. Also, you could put filter pads and things of that nature in there, or just leave it empty. Sumps are cool that way, very modular. You can do whatever you need to do. The heater I currently have in here, since setup, is down below along the bottom of the refugium, and it sits along the bottom underneath like a little bit of a protective egg crate, and that's it. It's run like a champ since Jump Street, and I have no reason to believe it won't continue performing. And I can't give you the name of it because honestly I don't remember, and it's lost in the mists of time, but it's been running really well underneath the sump on the floor of it for quite some time now. Now, heaters, as good as you want them to be, and you can pay to play on that score, they still, you're lucky if they last a few years. That's just the book on aquarium heaters. Knowing that, knowing my responsibility to this wonderful aquarium, I felt, and maybe it's food for thought for all of us in the hobby, that a secondary heater might be a great idea. Now, whether this Hygger is the backup or the one down there is the backup is honestly just a function of which one you set the temperature higher or lower at. And if the one that's driving the temperature of this particular aquarium happens to be the one below, so be it. If I were to tweak the Hygger, then it would be that one. This heater that I got from Hygger, by no means do I intend for it to be a backup as in a secondary or coach class heater. I expect it to be as good or better than whatever system I have in there, and I just want I want to have double protection for this aquarium. Arguably, it's a good move for anybody to have double protection, but in my 20-gallon tanks, I think I could notice a problem in the heating and solve it quicker, faster than in this one. If this one were to go out, it's more involved, the wattage, the power, the size, and the potential for catastrophe is just way more than in most of my other tanks, which are large nano tanks. So that being said, let's talk about this heater. You saw that space that I put it, that I want to put it in. I'm just using this mason jar as sort of a little testing thing. I had already sat this heater in for 15 or so minutes to get it acclimated to the temperature. So I'm not just jumping right to the gun here, but I'm gonna let it sit just for a moment, say a couple more things, then we're gonna plug it in. I like the verticality or the horizontal bar or vertical, depending on which way you place it, because of the specific spot I just showed you. I want to put it here. Now, that's a different sort of use case study, and I wanted to try something that married up to that shape and size, sort of a square in a square hole, right? Now, you could stick a typical tube into that spot, but I thought it would be just a little bit sweeter to have something that aligned in a perfect size and shape. And when I was researching heaters, this particular model fit the bill just right. I've got the, this is obviously not for nano tanks. I mean, it should be clear from that badass look, feel, and form factor that this is, for seriously sized aquariums. I mean, all aquariums are serious in terms of they hold life, so therefore they are, but I meant size. And you can see it's the 600 watt, which I believe covers around 70 to 125. So it's on the lower end of potential for this aquarium, but from a sheer water point of view, I think I have less than 115 gallons in here if you factor in all the substrate and the hardscape, etc. So if we're talking about the sheer volume of water, it's certainly within the parameters of this heater. A wild card, of course, is the sump, which technically adds to the overall aquatic footprint to the aquarium, but for various reasons, I went a little under the reco as opposed to over. I knew I already had a at least a 600 watt heater in there. Also, and this is something, we think about when we're not making our videos, when we're lying in bed, I have a crap ton of power outlets being utilized in between my fish room, which is on the other side of this wall, and this particular unit here. Now, to add another seriously powered device, I'm just always leery of when am I gonna have the straw that breaks the camel's back and I start blowing fuses. That hasn't happened, knock on wood. So 600 watts versus 900 watts. That extra 300 watts, given I already have a heater in the sump doing a bang up job. I thought for my secondary heater, or my additional heater, I should say, 600 watts would be fine. As I said, I love the form factor because it fits into that cool space like a glove. And I like the fact that the water, when it flows through the sump, will flow right between, through, and around those two heating elements. And it'll be just like that, easy peasy. All right, now let's do the hard part, right? I'm gonna attempt to plug this in, and I'm gonna set the phone down for a heartbeat. You heard the beeping. Gonna pull out, and let's look at what we got here. It's pretty cool, I must say. You see the red line going around? That means it's active and calibrating. The top score on that is the current temperature in this receptacle is 74.3. That'll obviously change moment to moment and in real time, which is cool. So you get a built-in thermometer, and then you see the wattage being used. So it's showing 653 watts, which is more than the 600. So I'm not sure what the dealio is, what that is, and whether I should be happy, sad, or indifferent. And then it comes out of the box with a set temperature of 77, but it's so easy to deal with. When I press this, the whole thing goes white, the set temp shows, and you can calibrate it to the temperature you want. What I'm gonna do is probably use it for 80 because I have angelfish, some ram cichlids, things that like warmer water, and so I'm just gonna go a little bit higher. I think the thermometer down there is at 79, and if I look at my cool Hygger thermometer, which I'll talk about in a minute, it shows 79. Interestingly enough, down by the heating element, it's a little bit warmer, about 81. So there is a 2-degree variance between what happens in the tank and what happens down here. And that's to be expected, because as the water comes up through the sump and cycles through, you know, you're just that further away from your heating source. So I have it set at 80 degrees, and when it reaches that, it'll stop. Now this particular unit, in addition to the features I've already talked about, it does have a protective element. So if this thing raises out of the water, it's like a dry safety, the thing will shut down. It has a high-low modulation, so it will never get too high, never get too low. And it comes with a few ways you can mount it. You can sit it in a bracket and use suction cups or the stickies back here and just apply that anywhere you want, alongside or inside your aquarium or the aquarium stand. It has this fun little hook, which I know I'll use for something, whether it's this heater or not, I don't know, but you know, like I know, that something like this with a sticky side and a little hook is gonna be invaluable in our fish room. You know, for 60 bucks, that's a high price point for a heater, but for one of this size, this kind of a workhorse, you know, obviously the price is gonna go up as you get higher in wattage and incrementally lower if you go to the 400 watt unit. And there are heaters that Hygger makes for nano tanks, no question about it. But for 60 bucks, give or take, you know, and there's definitely gonna be some give or take depending on where you elect to buy it. I'm gonna put the links Hygger sent me, and I believe at least one of them is at Amazon, the Hygger site on Amazon, which is probably where most of you would get a heater like this. For my use case, I think this is gonna be really, really cool for all the reasons I talked about. For you, what would be in it for you? Well, when you look at this form factor, it's so unusual that I think if you have to look at tech, that you could make a case that in a big aquarium with big fish, you know, something badass like this, particularly in a monster tank, a monster fish tank, or something that's, you know, more bodacious, more aggressive, this really, really is cool. So it's kind of like has a sports car vibe, an aggressive vibe. And so if you have a monster fish tank, or you keep piranha, or you have some big catfish, or you have one, you know, bodacious school of rainbow fish, or a fish only tank, these are the things that immediately come to mind if I'm going into the aquarium with a heater like this, because I think it would look cool, right? I mean, people like to look at tech if it looks cool. I mean, Apple Computer figured that out, and you know, so did ADA with their Superjet canister filters, stainless steel appliances in your kitchen. You could make a case, and I am, that this heater solves for that as well. And so I think that's pretty cool. I don't know, do you agree, disagree? I pull it out and kind of hold it up and show you, but obviously it's engaged right now and I don't want to, you know, mess with it. I'm seeing that it's already heating the water, and I can feel that in fact is working, as you would expect, because this 1 gallon jar is way small, but it suited the purposes of this particular test. And as I said, I'm probably going to use one of these two things, those two hanging apparatus, and put it probably right down here in front, and just loop over the wire, the cord into there, and then back up along there where all the other tech is for the sump and all the other plugs and things like that. And that's how I'll use this. I'll have a thermometer here, and then I'll have one here. Hygger sent me a few of these as well, and I gotta tell you, for an external thermometer, it's pretty sweet. It's like clear acrylic, so it reminds me of a Nest product, you know, those like something you'd see in your house. It had this. To me, is a much more elegant, sleek design than any other thermometer I've seen, digital or otherwise. It runs on a little like tab battery that you would just pop this in and put in. And I don't know, I mean, if you don't buy the heater, you might want to look into these, because they're sort of an untalked about fun thing that Hygger makes, and they may have trumped the competition on this one. I think this looks cool enough to literally be on my aquarium, you know. I could do without the branding, but I'm not gonna fault them for that. Look at the camera showing you it now, and there's some free advertising. But this thermometer, I mean, when you turn it off, it goes clear and empty, and you can see right through it. So that's pretty sweet too. Here's the thing with Hygger. They're ubiquitous in the hobby, right? They're a major player. They do hit up a lot of fish keepers and creators, as I talked about, and fish keepers and creators hit them up, and there is a reciprocity there. I don't need to sort of justify or apologize for asking for help, because I think that's in the spirit of cooperation, and I was excited to do this video. I mean, they can get better videos made if they pay for it themselves, but for their money, sending me a product, a $60 heater, paying the postage, hopefully, you know, this video more than completes the transaction. And I'm not reviewing it. I'm not like saying what I don't like about it, or what, you know, all the mistakes. I'm not going down that road at all. I just wanted to demonstrate how it works, the form factor, and why I chose it in particular. And that's it, over and out. Obviously, if down the road something, you know, bad happens, maybe that'll be fodder for a video, but I don't anticipate that being the case. I actually have, as a supplemental light in this aquarium, a Hygger light. I have two Kessels that create the, you know, the bulk of this glorious shimmer, but I also have a classic, you know, LED light from Hygger that's on a timer to supplement those two Kessels to reach the back corners and maybe play up some of the blues and the reds in this particular fish tank. And it works like a champ. And I've got Hyggers in my fish room as well. So, you know, and I paid for all of that stuff. There's a little peek into the fish room. Hygger to me is like exit row aisle on the airplane. And what I mean by that is it's a really great seat for the money. It isn't first class, right? It isn't gonna be ADA or Chihiro's in terms of the, well, let's start with the cost. It's a fraction of the cost. For example, in any given product line, I would say like the lowest priced light from Chihiro's is still more money than the most expensive light from Hygger. And so you get bang for your buck is what I'm trying to say. And when it comes to heaters, Hygger definitely has a chunk of the market, and I think they deserve it. I have, as I said, I have some of their tech in my fish room, and it runs just fine. So I'm expecting good things from this particular device. I like the different features and the way it works, and we'll see how we'll see how that goes moving forward. If you have any questions about this or anything else, by all means hit me up. I love to hear from you, and I'm gonna get my hands in the tank and put this in that spot in the sump. All right, everybody, ciao for now.